Hello guys, welcome to my channel. So in this video we are going to see the automation testing interview questions for 3 years experienced guy. This interview is for the company CGI. So let's get started. So I have categorized the questions in different categories like Selenium WebDriver, TestNG, Git, and manual testing. So we are going to see one by one. So the first question was asked about tell me about yourself, and now we're going to see the Selenium WebDriver questions. So, what are the different types of locators in the Selenium? This was the first question asked, and you have to answer what are the locators like ID, class path, tag name, class name, DOM. So these are the two locators in Selenium. Then next question was when do you use XPath over CSS selector? This question is very important. Um, like there is a chance like when web element changes its XPath dynamically, then we use XPath over the CSS selector. We have to when we use XPath and CSS selector uh, and why do we use XPath over the CSS selector? Then next question was how to get a specific value from a drop down and reuse it in a verification. So this is just a question like how do you handle the drop down? Like we create some action classes and select a value from the drop down, and we verify whether the drop down selection is confirmed or not. Then next question was when do you use a JavaScript executor? We have to just basically give the scenario when do we use the JavaScript executor, uh, that object. We actually make the driver instance into the JavaScript object and use that object to change or manipulate the uh, DOM elements or HTML elements. Then next question was, is it possible to validate CAPTCHA using Selenium? If yes, how? So yes, earlier many of the students or candidates give the wrong answer, like the CAPTCHA is not possible. But yes, it is possible using third-party tools to capture the CAPTCHA. So the next question was, what should be the ideal way to store the data using Selenium WebDriver only? So I will store that data into the various databases or temporary databases. The next question was, is it possible to use XPath like parent-child node? Yes, provide an example where we use it. So we'll use the DOM. We have to study the DOM to answer this question. So what happens if you receive a browser notification during the test automation execution? Then the next question was why does a stale element exception occurs and how to handle it? So you all know the stale element when does the stale element of exception occurs. The next question was what is invalid certificate exception? Okay. The next question was regarding some APIs. The first question was what are the component of an HTTP request? What is the difference between API and unit testing? What is an HTTP response? How can we add validation points in Postman? What do we understand by server-side validation? What is the retry architecture? Then what is the difference between web service and web APIs? What is the REST, SOAP, and GraphQL and API? All you know the REST is open, but you have to also give a brief on the GraphQL. Then, what do we test in the standalone APIs? Then, what do we test in third-party integrated APIs? Next question was where on the tools like Postman. So, where to use collections, environment, and global variables. We use the variables in the collections like environment and global variables. So we have to give a brief on uh, where to use the variables, then how to execute a collection end to end, how to validate that an API response has the correct status code. So this can be validated in the Postman libraries. I mean the JavaScript libraries where we automate, we write script in the JavaScript and validate the responses. Then what happens when an API response returns form data instead of JSON data and how to validate it? And how to set up a basic auth in a Postman? Where do you store the environment credentials? How to save a demo response for an API request? How will you validate an API request if VPN is required for it to work? How do you filter result in an API request using Postman? How to set up a custom headers in Postman? Then next was regarding the Git. What are the differences in committing the code to GitHub? Is it possible to revert changes in remote repository? If yes, how? When do you commit your code after committing? How do you validate that everyone has a updated code? How to merge stash changes in a local repository? Why do we need a .ignore file? And how do you add files to it? The next questions were related with the TestNG. Where is the execution format of test in TestNG? Can priority be negative for method? If yes, what is the execution flow as per priority? What are the difference between the depends on methods and depends on groups? What are the different ways to exclude test in a TestNG? What does the thread pool size means in TestNG and how does it work? Why do we need before suit and after suit annotations? So these were questions asked in a CGI. We will see another interview questions in the next video. Thank you.